Hi Aquarius. Alright, welcome to this space if you're new, and welcome back if you're returning. Always a pleasure to connect. Okay, Aquarius. The first message that arrived was, it's as if you're like waking up from someone's waking up from a dream. Someone's waking up from a dream. Okay, so where should we begin? Let's start in the center. So you receive the mountain. You receive the mountain. As well as the flower. Now, in the game of hope, when you land on the mountain, sort of like this is it's a little bit of a challenge. It kind of represents a challenge of sorts. There's somewhat of a hurdle. There's something that takes a bit of effort. I see, maybe this is a part of that thing waking up, like something waking up. Now, again, when you, in the game of hope, when one lands on the mountain, when this is where they are, they either have to wait for another person to arrive and help, which I kind of see this for some of you. So if you're seeking that, then that will arrive. But there's also another alternative, is while you're here and while you're waiting, you can also try to, if you roll a double, which is kind of a little bit of luck, but it's effort, and with that effort comes luck, right? Now, if that happens, cool. But you also have the alternative that if for some reason you're trying something and the luck, if you quote unquote isn't there, like you're not getting the luck that you want, then you'll just have to be patient, I guess. He's looking over here at your challenge. Let's see what that's about. Oh, the King of Hearts. Okay, so this card is entitled, it's about the father, husbands, one who financially supports or is financially reliable. You're also very loving here, this card. Like father, like son. A little bit. Just a minute. There's kind of a funny conversation here. Maybe someone's planning something, like some kind of surprise. Actually, this could be a proposal for some of you. Like some kind of proposal, or some kind of, it's like, to me, what I'm seeing is these two people are having a conversation, and this other person there's a person here that knows a bit of what's happening, but they're also like, they're not necessarily included in that in some way. But it's not, I don't see this as a negative thing. Again, I see there's such a loving energy coming off of this card, but it's also in your challenge position. What's that about? Flat tire. Well, I guess if it's working, it's working. If it's not working, then it isn't working. Don't try to make, what do they say? If it's broke, don't fix it. If it's been broken, you've been trying to fix it, it's not working, then I guess you have to try something new, right? Like if you've been wanting someone else to help you to get to some space, but it's not working out the way that you want, then you have to take the effort. If you've been taking the effort solely on yourself, then you have to allow other people to give you what you need. And for you, part of it could be emotional. I mean, I guess this is the highest level of emotional maturity. This is actually expressing how you feel, right? Let's look here. The spiritual lesson, she has her... Ooh, the Ace of Pentacles. Wow. So I see... Well, you have a lot, right? And you do have some new opportunity to create more in your life, to create more joy or more stability. It's like a wealth of joy. Do you know what I mean? Like a wealth of happiness, a wealth of love. Like it's like rich in love. Huh, okay. But I would say, what do they say? Don't sow seeds on barren soil. Right? No need to sow seeds. You wouldn't sow seeds in the like on the top of the Tetons. Right? It's too rocky. Because the root system's really shallow when it's too rocky. Right? It's like a big wind comes, a big rain comes, then it'll wash it away. But I also see that this is part of this growth here. Is like the seed becomes the flower. Oh, it reminds me of Cancer's reading, which we're in Cancer season when I'm recording this. Just a minute. Which is one of your biggest lessons, by the way. It's an inconjunct to you. Love, it is a river, right? There's a line in that song. Love is a rose. Not love is a rose, but you better not pick it. Well, that's true too. But what am I seeing here? So there's a seed of love. Interesting. Okay, let's see what's going on with work. Okay, so what you're meant to work on and put some energy towards, besides this emotional space, because that's a part of it, right? Feeling secure, feeling protected, feeling respected. I mean, I guess some of you could have issues with your father or your like the father of your children or something like that. But it really depends on how steady you feel, like your rootedness, right? If how connected you are to something. Now, I suppose you don't want the roots shallow, right? But you don't want the roots all root bound either. Some of you, for instance, I guess you have to kind of move off this mountain a little bit because it's like you've grown big enough or you've gained enough. You've grown big enough that you now have to repot yourself, right? Because you don't want it root bound and you don't want it shallow. Interesting. I also see something here. It's like child support. Some of you could be discussing that. It's almost like maybe some of you are in. Some of you could also some of you could be involved. I'm seeing like a scenario where like someone has children. It's like there's a parent, and then there's children, and then there is, it's like then there's like another layer here. It's kind of hard to explain. Hold on. Well, I guess, okay, am I supposed to say that? Just a minute. Just got really, really hot. Okay, if for some reason you get in a space and you feel like it's a heated discussion, I also see if you drink, like that could be like a part of, that could be an issue. Never have a conversation, right? Like a serious conversation, texting or verbal or whatever, like when things are heated, right? Because that'll make more complication. Now, if there is any sorrow or a bit of like disagreement, this I see more so with, well, what's this one about? Just a minute. Thank you. Solid shift. Okay, so you have to talk about, I guess there's a test here in what you have learned. Okay. And there's meant to be, again, it's like this is solid. You feel comfortable in this place, but this is also a place where you hide. Okay? This is like kind of like your comfort zone, where you sort of, I see, isolate in your own mind, or you feel distanced. Like that place where you feel like it's hard for you to get past that, to connect with whatever you're connecting with emotionally in a way that feels right. Now, for some of you, this could be where maybe you figured out how to do this with certain people at certain times, but it's trying to figure out how to do something more regularly. Like, so because the shift then would be solid, and the quality would be a lot better about that. Like, it's kind of like knowing when to plant a seed, or knowing when to say something, or knowing, like, it's like you tap into your intuition and you're like, okay, well, am I supposed to work with that person? How does this help me learn about what I have been shifting in myself, in the self, so that the quality of you and what you plant in this life becomes things that are, again, not shallow rooted. They're not shallow, and they're not all root bound. It's like you have the right space, you know what I mean, between things. Because it's almost like there's great distance, or it's really bound up. So you're trying to find this middle ground, right? Now, the flowers represent satisfaction and creativity. I actually see that your creative talents are really being supported. Some of you, if you're involved in whatever your relationships are, you want to make sure that you're still tapping into your own, right? I'm seeing these as individual people. It's like alone together, right? Not lonely together, alone together. It's like you could do your own thing. People can do their own thing in the same space. It's not all wrapped up. This is also, again, like an invitation. So maybe some of you are invited. I guess if you're invited to something, it may be good for you to go. Oh, interesting. It may be good for you to go. But I guess you need to check in with something about, you want to give yourself a minute of this quiet to be able to figure it out. All you have to do is quietly sit with yourself, and you'll be able to figure it out. It's actually not that difficult for you right now to figure it out. It's smoother than you think that it is, right? Because if you climb this mountain, then you already know it. It's not going to be as difficult or challenging for you to come down, because you're going to remember where the pitfalls were in the past, right? Like where your weak spot is, or where you can kind of be like, okay, I feel comfortable. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go a little faster. Just a sec. Actually, I want to look at you. Hold on a second. What do we have for time? Oh, perfect. Hi. Hold on a minute. I need to be so close. Okay, there we go. Give a little space, right? Give a little space. Okay, so I guess there could be for some of you like a solid shift with work. I don't know if this is like a seasonal shift, right? Happy solstice, by the way. Remember that with seasonal shifts, there's always a shift to be done, right? There's certain things that you plant during those times. There's certain things that you harvest during those times. There's certain pests, right, that come during those times. This is, and you kind of have to shift, again, a bit of the physicality. That's part of the spiritual, part of your spiritual lesson right now, too. Now, the Ace of Pentacles is really beautiful because this gives an opportunity for you to, I see, do something right or do something better. It's almost like you can try again. You can try again. Maybe that's that waking up from a dream kind of space. It's like allowing yourself to, I don't know, creatively look at something a little bit differently through a higher level of maturity. You know, it's kind of like, well, let's see. I guess it's finally becoming more, something's becoming more firm. Oh, it's so hot. Hold on. Something's becoming firmer where it was watery. If for some of you this is a very emotional time, because I know you are emotional. I mean, you're in conjunctus Cancer, so Aquarius actually has a lot of emotions, but you're very guarded, just like Leo, right? Like really, really guarded sometimes, and it's hard for you to put your guard down, and even though you're so strong, it's like believing in yourself to actually take the steps to look at success in a different way, or look at, you know, because sometimes to go down the mountain is actually even more brave than going up the mountain, right? Because even when you go up, you have to come back down, you know. Let's see about other, Ace of Cups. Awesome. Okay. So I see your family, you have family that loves you. There's definitely a person here for some of you where they just really, really love you. Particularly who are the... Well, I do see males, and let's look at this the way I see it first. Males in your life that love you. Think about that. That give to you emotionally, or allow you to be emotional. Now, I suppose for some of you this could be masculine people, so this could be air or fire people also. They could be female. But it's that... Who can you relax around, and who are you motivated by? It's more of a who than a what. Do you know what I mean? This also has flowers in it. Can you see that? So I guess when's the last time, if you're a man, it's like the last time you gave someone flowers. If you're a woman, when's the last time you received flowers? Wow, 2 aces. There's some sort of really beautiful new opportunity here. This is earth and water, right? So this is actually a bit more emotional. But oh my gosh, I didn't even realize you go from one end all the way to the other. Again, it's like you're waking up from a dream. Someone's waking up from a dream. It's like it's not exactly like completing the cycle ultimately, where it's like there's no more to do with anything, you know. It's not that. It's kind of like you've made it to a place where you're like, okay, here's the wishing well. You have your coin, right? You have your coin, and you're like, okay, I'm going to make a wish. So what are you wishing for? You know? I suppose you really want to think about that before you toss it in there, right? Because you're allowed to wish big. You know what I mean? To look at what the possibilities really are. And if there's something that you're wanting to change, like say you're saying to yourself, well, I'd like to be more engaged with this, and but whatever the thing is that's kind of like, well, this kind of makes me standoffish. What is it that would help you to feel more comfortable to step forward into that thing? You know, what would it be that needs to change? You know, maybe that's something to kind of sit with a little bit. Now, look at all these colors are interesting. You know, Saturn won't be back in your sign for 30 years or so, right? So this is kind of like really thinking ahead. I'm also seeing like a bigger, like 3 year, like you could look at this in like a year. It's like 1 year, 3 years, 30. Then it gets into like 30s. Well, I guess also remember that a good attitude goes a long way. And you okay, baby? And if there's been anything with work also, or whatever you've been working on, like, I feel like you've been putting things together, right? You're trying to figure out, there's something with Scorpio here too. It's like you're getting to the center of something so that you're not bothered so much by, again, what is too loose or what is too tight. It's like you're trying to find the right warp and weft, right? Which takes a lot of patience. And you kind of need both hands to be able to make this happen. So what are you doing with your hands too? Like, pay attention this month, like what you're touching or what you want to touch, or it's almost like a tactile kind of feeling, like, you know, where like sort of like when a child learns, it's like they pick everything up with their hands and then they put it in their mouth, right? And they're just like, what is this? You know, so maybe for some of you also it could be, because I could see that there's a lot of passion here. But there's also this innocence. So embrace the healing that you have done, okay? Like, be aware of the steps you've taken, and even the scars that you have from having to climb this mountain, you know, or however many times you're like, you fell down, you know, like in the past, like, maybe you need to remind yourself of how far you've come so that you can recognize, okay, all right, I don't have to hide. I don't have to hide anymore. I can open myself up to this new space. Wild card. It's definitely kind of an intimate time, too. And I see people trust you. Okay. Thank you so much. Easy breezy. We'll take it. Nicely done, Aquarius. Nicely done. Oh, there's the missing piece. Great. Good. Found it. Healing hearts. Okay, perfect. If you are totally, I have to mention this, if you are totally in love with somebody, something, whatever you're really, really in love with, please make sure that you're taking a little space and time away from that. Okay? Because it's going to give you a better perspective on what's happening. And your time will be allocated correctly, because I could almost see where some of you could, like, well, I guess it depends how responsible you've been being. Like, if things are in order, then maybe you can take a little space and time to, you know, spend some of that spare time to relax. If some of you have been in this, if there's been any lackadaisical, then I would say you got to step it up, because again, coming down the mountain sometimes is even harder than going up, right? So you got to pay more attention, kind of. And I do see this great love here. So I want all of you to keep a good attitude about that, you know? There's something that's been a really long journey, but it's like all of a sudden there's some invitation. Someone's like, hey, do you want to go out? Or again, there's like something like that. But it's like little tiny steps at a time. It's almost like someone's a little shy too. Maybe someone's shy until they drink also. There's a little bit of that. That could be a challenge for some of you. Like some people need, I'm seeing like part of the challenge is like where some people need like an external thing to make them more comfortable, you know, like a glass of wine or some kind of like mind altering thing to shift their emotions into a place. So you want to make sure that you're also finding love through a sober heart, right? Not drunken love, like sobriety. Okay. It's like looking at things from different headspaces. You know what I mean? Different emotional places. Okay. All right, Aquarius. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. I do hope you have the happiest now. I hope all your, whatever gardens you're growing, that they're growing good, okay? And if there are any little pests that come, you catch it quick before anything takes over, right? You just, because you're keeping up with those little things. I know you can do it. Your support really does matter, wherever you put that. And I hope this was of service. I'll talk to you next time.